My name is Joyce Larko Steiner from Ghana, and I am one of the representatives of Africa on the International Committee. It's great having you here. It is great that I have been part of this journey from 2017 to 2022. We started with so much hope that everything will go on well, but COVID reared its ugly head. It changed everything for us. But we thank God for knowledge. We thank God for wisdom. We thank God that He always gives us the opportunity to learn and do things the way we have to do it in the midst of troubles. We started doing virtual meetings, so we were not completely lost. We were able to engage. We had our worship services virtual, something that we would never have thought about if COVID had not come. It has opened a new door for us. So even though we had problems and challenges, we've still found solutions, and it has taken us a step higher than what we used to be. And I think it is good. It tells us that God is always God. God tells us what to do at which time. It is good for us to open ourselves up to learn. It is good for us to open ourselves to say that even if we have challenges, we can still make it. And that's the difference between us and other people. Christ is there for us. In the state of hopelessness, He presents hope to us. And the hope is what we have. Moving into the next 100 years, I want us to leave a legacy of the World Day of Prayer movement celebrating another 100 years after we have left. That is what means that we need to build up a younger generation who will take up the mantle. That is also to say that we need to do things differently, which will attract the young people, or we need to pay attention to the young people so that they will be part of the movement, they will own the movement, and they will run with it. The legacy, I say, is the next 100 years, celebrating WDP. Thank you, and I hope we will do that.
Bien, mes chers sœurs de la Journée mondiale de prière, après tant d'années de réflexion et de travail, le temps est venu pour nous, n'est-ce pas, de voir un peu dans tout ce que nous avons mené de 2017 à 2022 pour le second mandat, de sortir des éléments palpants et de partager, n'est-ce pas, avec vous quelque chose qui nous a marqué. Et pour moi particulièrement, ce qui m'a marqué, c'est, n'est-ce pas, le message de la conférence, de la prochaine conférence, qui détermine, n'est-ce pas, ce courage qui nous donne de pouvoir aller au-delà. Lorsqu'on parle de New Heart, New means up, call to up, c'est-à-dire il faut espérer. Et avec ça, quand je regarde le monde entier, avec tout ce que nous vivons aujourd'hui, que ce soit la guerre en Ukraine, les effets, n'est-ce pas, de l'environnement qui détruisent. Et lorsque je reviens en Afrique, où on a toujours été considéré comme un pays sous-développé ou bien en voie de développement, ça ne veut rien dire, ça veut dire la même chose. Quand je regarde tout ça, et avec l'arrivée, n'est-ce pas, de la pandémie à coronavirus, qui en plus nous a affaiblis, je dis le thème New Heart, Moving Golf Up est un thème porteur. C'est un thème porteur parce que c'est un thème qui nous demande de sortir de nos torpeurs, de sortir de nos enfermements, de sortir de nos peurs, n'est-ce pas, pour créer des mentalités nouvelles afin de pouvoir, n'est-ce pas, continuer à travailler pour un monde meilleur où on n'entendra plus tellement parler de violences faites aux femmes, aux enfants, au trafic des jeunes, etc. Un monde meilleur où l'amour doit primer. Et lorsque l'amour est au-dessus de tout, tous ces petits mots n'ont plus de place.
I am Vino Schubert, Asian representative from Sri Lanka. I have been blessed to be a part of this global movement. The COVID pandemic, political and religious unrest contributed to the increase in domestic violence, loss of livelihood, hunger, schooling of children interrupted, and many other challenges being ever present in our lives. As the virtual world became the norm, Asian women were quick to master new IT skills despite lacking facilities and knowledge. This was evidenced by the overwhelming response we had when over 40 women from 16 Asian countries enthusiastically participated in a virtual regional meeting. This meeting enabled the Asian sisters to be better informed and pray more meaningfully for each other. It was especially uplifting to have the participation of ladies from Afghanistan and Myanmar, evidence of informed prayer and prayerful action in action. The 2021 theme, Build on a Firm Foundation, prepared by the ladies of Vanuatu, inspired me to compare the lives of Rebeca and Hannah and the impact of a strong or the lack of a firm foundation. The devotional was published on the WDP website. Despite the restrictions and lockdown, many Asian countries were able to conduct physical services throughout this period, whilst others went one step further and organized services that helped reach a wider audience. I must admit, I am inspired by the resilience and strength of Asian women. Although having to grapple with many unbelievably difficult situations, we stand with our heads held high, having overcome many a challenge. It has been an amazing journey, and I have seen God's hand at work in my life. Although the spiritual battles have been hard at times, I can truly thank God for many friends within the Asian region who made me the stronger person I am today. Thank you.
My name is Ruth Phillips. I am a pastor with the African Methodist Episcopal Church in Barbados, in the West Indies. My first introduction to the World Day of Prayer came in 2008 when I was invited to a meeting of churches to restart the World Day of Prayer in Barbados. As a matter of fact, the Anglican Church and the Salvation Army, they were maintaining the meetings every first Friday in March. My introduction was one that caused me to be the president of the local committee in 2010. By 2017, when we visited Brazil for the international meeting, I became the rep for the Caribbean and North America, replacing a Barbadian also, Reverend Alison Carter. My journey has been a fruitful one. It is a very fulfilling time spending with the World Day of Prayer, the women from all over the world. It gives me great pleasure. It gives me a sense of being a really international woman. There's a sense of belonging when we meet, even if it is just the committee of the international committee meeting together and sharing the reports of those who are going to be doing the stories, the writer countries. I enjoy meeting the women from all over the world. It is an excellent organization. It would be an honor to be re-elected as the representative for the North American and Caribbean region. I will continue to do my best. I will continue to encourage others to be a part of this most important movement, the World Day of Prayer. I look forward to working with my sisters from all over the world. I look forward to planning other meetings that will last for the next 100 years. I thank those of you who have voted for me in the past and who will vote for me now in this season. Thank you and God bless.
My name is Emmanuelle, and I am one of the European representatives of the International Committee. The last 100 years of World Day of Prayer have shown how women have gained more leaderships and have become a more important part in our world. But the pandemic has dampened our momentum to spread our prayerful actions. We were concerned about our families, beloved, friends, and sisters. We had to reinvent ourselves. And even if in some parts of our region it was difficult, women find ways to continue to spread World Day of Prayer and organize celebration. As we slowly come back to normality, it is time to think of the next 100 years of our movement. It is time to think, how can we involve young active women? We need fresh blood. Women of nowadays have different jobs. They are wives, mothers, workers, leaders, managers, doctors, nurses, teachers, and so on. We need to find how World Day of Prayer can fit in an overcrowded agenda. We, women and sisters, can accomplish a lot at all levels, locally, nationally, regionally, and internationally. And it's time that we show what we are capable of.
Hello, everyone. My name is Senka, and I'm from Croatia. With Emanuela from Luxembourg, I was European representative for the term 2017 to 2022. Also, I'm a representative of Croatia World Day of Prayer. I'm excited to share with you some of my experience, thoughts, and wishes for the future as we approach the centennial celebration in 2027. At the beginning of our mandate, none of us could have even imagined how challenging this period would be. At first, we were busy organizing a European conference with the Dutch committee in June 2019 in Lunteren, traveled just a couple of times to meet the members of the Dutch committee. And it was all if we talk about meeting in person. Then the pandemic hit the world. Meetings in person, events traveling across the globe were canceled. The world was greatly impacted by the COVID-19 in one way or another, forcing all our plans to be virtual. When I think about those tough times that are behind us, I'm happy to say that also some joyful and unexpected things have happened because we took advantage on online connectivity to make it possible. First, which I consider to be my greatest achievement in the last term, was starting up the World Day of Prayer in new country, Bosnia and Herzegovina. I am grateful to God that some women from different denominations were delighted with World Day of Prayer as a global ecumenical movement led by Christian women. With our help, they were willing to hold a ritual celebration for the first time. That was my goal when I accepted the position in the executive committee as a European representative. So I'm so excited about it. Also, my World Day of Prayer team in Croatia and myself managed to promote World Day of Prayer in 2 new towns in Croatia. Furthermore, we started a prayer cycle called Together in Prayer, prepared for countries in the region which was very necessary because we all become isolated, worried, anxious, and locked in our homes. Prayer has connected and empowered us through all the uncertainties we are living under last years. To sum up, I want to believe that in the future, great things are possible for World Day of Prayer, that it will be spread exponentially because the world desperately needs visionary women who want to step out, to think outside the box, and who will be bold enough and passionate to continue the humble beginnings 100 years ago. Great things are possible if you believe. I'm so thankful for the opportunity to be one link in that chain that lasts more than 100 years. Looking forward to another 100. Thank you.
Hermanas, saludos fraternos desde la Coordinación de América Latina del Día Mundial de Oración. Ha sido un periodo de mucha bendición donde las experiencias, los aprendizajes y las relaciones vividas han enriquecido mi vida y el ministerio, y estoy segura que la región también. Nos ha inspirado el trabajo, los impactos personales en la vida de niños, mujeres, indígenas y de diferentes sectores que han participado en nuestra región de los cultos. Nos ha inspirado las familias reunidas en oración y reconciliándose. Nos ha inspirado el conocimiento de tantas luchas e historias de mujeres del mundo con las que nos identificamos y nos solidarizamos en acciones concretas. Nos ha fortalecido la fe y el compromiso, el movimiento del Día Mundial de Oración. Hay impactos que no vemos, pero que van más allá de lo que hacemos. Son muchos los desafíos para América Latina y para el mundo, donde las mujeres somos las más afectadas y donde la oración, las acciones y lo que necesitamos hacer como movimiento deben ser un punto eje en nuestros próximos 100 años. Queremos mayor participación de las mujeres, una mayor conciencia y contenidos que apunten a nuestras realidades concretas y a las transformaciones de esas realidades en la búsqueda de un reino de justicia, de amor. Soñamos con un himno nacional que refleje nuestra fe y nuestras luchas. Quisiéramos ver a una mujer de América Latina siendo presidente, donde se rompan todas las barreras de idioma para asumir liderazgos en puestos claves. Y termino diciendo que soñamos con que haya presupuestos para talleres regionales de fortalecimientos cada periodo y en cada región, porque esto es vital y eso es lo que ha fortalecido nuestra región, que hemos crecido a pesar de la pandemia. Hermanas, gracias por la oportunidad. Miles de bendiciones para cada una y estamos en contacto. Un abrazo fraterno para cada una.
Soy Susana Renner, representante de América Latina, vivo en Brasil. Hermanas, un saludo fraterno para todas. Han sido 5 años de retos y bendiciones. Fuimos sorprendidas con una pandemia mundial en 2020. Tuvimos un aprendizaje nuevo en todos los sentidos para con la tecnología y como para realizar también los programas del Día Mundial de Oración. Esto ha complicado o ha implicado un trabajo adicional, pero que ha traído bendiciones de muchas maneras, por lo que estamos agradecidas a Dios. El agradecimiento es una de las cualidades más nobles del ser humano. Quien ama a Dios necesita ser grato y agradecer constantemente. Aprendí mucho en este tiempo y soy grata a Dios por haberme permitido convivir con tantas mujeres. Tengo certeza que a partir de todo lo que vivimos y construimos juntas, vamos juntas también a disfrutar. El suceso es hecho de una unión de personas, de un verdadero equipo de acción. Que Dios nos bendiga a todas.
Dear sisters, being a representative of the Executive Committee from the Middle East for a second term since 2017 has confirmed my conviction that the land of the Holy One and the Middle East region can overcome all challenges and difficulties in faith and with persistence. Though the World Day of Prayer movement has survived challenges, including Corona and isolation, now is the time to move forward together with the rest of the world. One, to acknowledge the importance, existence, and role of the land of the Holy One and the Middle East. Two, to listen to our genuine call that with a new heart, a new mind, we can together respond to the call of hope for all. The Palestine Committee has written the service for 2024, which clearly says, with all humility, gentleness, with patience, sharing forbearance for one another in love. From Ephesians 4:2, we are calling you, all sisters, and inviting you in the coming 100 years to continue doing the will of God, of preserving all the creation and restoring humanity with dignity.
I am happy to be part of the World Day of Prayer movement for more than 25 years, nationally and internationally. The WDP movement means a lot to me for four main reasons. The knowledge of Bible stories and passages. WDP adds on my calendar not only a new country to learn about long before the first Friday of March, but also a title that is based on passages from the Bible. Every year I have the opportunity to dig into the Word of God and see how it could be relevant today. A passage, a woman's story, a short verse, or a psalm could live with me through the year and more. Spiritual nourishment, trust, hope, faith will be interwoven with different cultures and diversities, the old and current times, and God's will. The value of prayer life. The more I learn about praying, the more it impacts my mind and soul. We pray together. We ask for God's intervention for a country, and we wait together for God's blessing. Women in solidarity. The mere idea that there are women in the four corners of the world who share with me similar struggles and dreams encourages me and builds me up. We can be very different, yet we are connected with God's love and spirit. This makes us strong and rich. Finally, prayerful action. WDP teaches me to be a good neighbor, to see the needs near and far, to have compassion, and to act in a Christian manner. My dream for the WDP movement for the next generation is to contribute prayerfully in a creative and faithful ways.
From the first moment we met in Brazil, I knew that God had me on a journey as he promises in Jeremiah 29:11. I trust in God that he places the right people in the right place to achieve his work. Travelling to Vanuatu, working alongside the Vanuatu National Committee to prepare the World Day of Prayer 2021 service was not only a privilege, but a challenge in working cross-culturally. Using leadership skills to establish communication with the National Committee, bringing together Vanuatu women from across the nation to enable the process and success of the World Day of Prayer 2021 program. A highlight was to work with women who travelled regardless of the threat of cyclones or volcanic eruptions, to work for most ecumenically for the first time. Women who had never had leadership opportunities, who could bring a focus to their nation and faith. As a member of the Executive Advisory Committee, the challenges have been overwhelming at times in this unprecedented season. Without this group of amazing women, World Day of Prayer would not exist today. The determination in their leadership when faced with leading through what history will dictate has been not only challenging, but has brought about significant change in communication, travel, and technology across the world. I would like to acknowledge the work of our dear sister, Henriette Mbatchou, Pacific representative from the Cook Islands, who has been called home to heaven, and her faithful contribution to World Day of Prayer movement, both nationally and internationally. It was our prayer that World Day of Prayer in the Pacific needs to be developed past the first Friday in March, to be active in prayerful action in our communities, advocating for regional issues, bringing recognised as influences in our region, to strengthen our local committees, building resilience in the ecumenical environment, ensuring that World Day of Prayer grows and matures as a relevant, modern movement through the Pacific region.
Dear sisters, I have 3 wishes for the next 100 years of World Day of Prayer, summarized by using the word openness. I wish us to keep first the doors of our meetings open, so that our meetings are a sign and an announcement that everyone is welcome, that new ideas are welcome, that we are not afraid to try something new. Then I wish us to keep our hearts and our ears wide open, open to the testimonies of our sisters. Every year, women give their testimonies, and every year we experiment, making our own their cry of lament, suffering, injustice through the celebration of World Day of Prayer. So I wish us always remain in this intention of communion of prayer and spirit with our sisters. And finally, I wish us to keep our hands wide open and to find new strengths for our legs, so that informed prayer also becomes the prayerful action for this world. I believe that our commitment to follow Christ requires us to go beyond ourselves. I wish us all this for the next century, and I'm sure we can do it.
Greetings, World Day of Prayer sisters. I am Susan Jackson-Dowd, Executive Director for Presbyterian Women in the Presbyterian Church USA. Since the international meeting in 2017, I've been honored to serve as Treasurer of the World Day of Prayer International Executive Committee. I'm deeply grateful for the opportunity to serve in this role. I've worked closely with outgoing Executive Director Rosangela and Chair Laurence to fulfill the duties of the World Day of Prayer Treasurer that are listed in the World Day of Prayer Constitution. stewardship of resources, clarifying accounting procedures, developing working budgets, assessing investment advice, monitoring investment decisions, advising regarding response to national regional committees' inquiries about finances, and proposing recommendations to the executive committee. But the role of treasurer has been so much more. We have built relationships and pondered the future of the World Day of Prayer movement. For the last 5 years, I've worked closely with the Executive Advisory Group to ensure the responsible and prayerful administration of the International World Day of Prayer movement. The advisory group met regularly with the executive committee, who have previously introduced themselves in their regions. Though the pandemic has kept us from the joy of meeting in person over the last 2.5 years, God has provided opportunities for us to gather as we are today, online. This opportunity changed our working patterns and allowed us frequent face-to-face meetings while not impacting financial resources. From one-on-one meetings with Rosangela to planning meetings with our host, the Scottish Committee, to regional meetings and global conversations. The advisory group was able to conduct a virtual search for the new World Day of Prayer International Committee Executive Director, Katie Reamer, whom we welcome as a global community during this meeting. For all these opportunities, I am grateful. Welcome to this new online experience of the World Day of Prayer International Committee. I look forward to working with you over the next few days. Dear sisters, God is in our midst.